King Charles has finally drawn a hard line, and it's aimed squarely at his disgraced younger brother, Prince Andrew. The fallout from Andrew's past ties with Jeffrey Epstein has reached a new, dramatic stage. And this time, it's not just Andrew paying the price. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, has been pulled right into the storm. What's unfolding now behind palace walls is a mix of heartbreak, desperation, and royal politics. And as the pressure builds, even King Charles himself is said to be losing sleep over what comes next. Let's break down exactly what's going on, because the Royal Lodge drama might just be the biggest royal eviction story since Harry and Meghan were asked to vacate Frogmore Cottage. Adrian. So, here's where it begins. King Charles has been under enormous pressure from both the public and inside the palace to distance the monarchy from the cloud hanging over Prince Andrew. The Epstein scandal refuses to fade, and with every resurfacing headline, the king's image takes another hit. In what some are calling a calculated clean-up, Charles reportedly told Andrew that his remaining royal privileges and even his home were on the chopping block. Andrew, of course, had already stepped back from royal duties, but the real shock came when he was told to formally give up his titles. And the collateral damage? His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. When news broke that Fergie would also have to relinquish her Duchess title, insiders said she was absolutely devastated. According to Daily Mail sources, she was wailing and crying when she got the call, completely blindsided. A friend reportedly told the paper that Sarah is absolutely bereft. Remember, she's been using her connection to the royal family as part of her personal brand for years. From her book deals to her business ventures, her Duchess title carried influence and value. Now, with that gone, the fallout is both emotional and financial. Let's be honest, Fergie has always been a survivor. She's had financial troubles before and clawed her way back through creative projects. But this time, it's different. The scandals surrounding Andrew have made people wary of doing business with her. A royal insider said bluntly, people don't want to be associated with her anymore. She's contrite and embarrassed, the source added, but terrified that her future projects, including her upcoming fictional book series, could be dead in the water before they even hit the shelves. And this is where things get interesting, because it's said to be this very fear that's keeping King Charles up at night. Insiders say Charles worries that Sarah Ferguson might follow the path carved out by Prince Harry with her own tell-all memoir. The king reportedly has already told his aides that the last thing he wants is another spare. Now, that's a revealing comment because it shows just how much spare continues to haunt the royal institution. Charles has tried to restore calm, to bring back some dignity and order to the monarchy. But having already watched one family member take private royal business public, the idea that Fergie could do the same is a nightmare scenario. One insider put it simply: the king is a kind man, but his patience has been pushed to the limit. Now let's talk about their home, the Royal Lodge. This grand Windsor mansion, with its 30 rooms and sprawling gardens, has been home to Andrew and Sarah since 2008. But that could soon change. The king's financial tightening and the push for a leaner monarchy have made it harder to justify letting Andrew live in such luxury, rent-free, while stripped of his duties. Sources close to the palace say advanced talks are underway to gently but firmly ease Andrew out of the property. But Andrew isn't going quietly. Andrew and Fergie are said to have agreed they'll only move if they're each offered suitable replacement homes. The couple who once joked they were the happiest divorced couple in the world still live together, though technically they're exes. They were offered Frogmore Cottage, the very home that used to belong to Harry and Meghan. But Andrew reportedly turned it down, calling it a step down from Royal Lodge. That's quite the statement, considering Frogmore is a fully renovated, beautiful royal residence. But for Andrew, who's accustomed to grander surroundings, it just wasn't good enough. As for Sarah, she has her eyes on Adelaide Cottage just around the corner. Now, that's where things get complicated. Adelaide Cottage is currently occupied by Prince William and Princess Kate. But sources say the couple may vacate it in November, potentially leaving it available. If Fergie gets her wish, she'd be living just a short stroll away from Andrew, allowing them to maintain their close relationship without sharing a roof. A friend close to them said, "Frogmore is too small for both, and Adelaide Cottage is around the corner, so they'll see each other whenever they want." It's a curious arrangement, but it might just be the compromise the king is willing to allow, if it helps get Andrew out of Royal Lodge without another scandal. But that lease complicates things further. Andrew actually holds a long-term lease on Royal Lodge that runs until 2078. He's legally protected and reportedly determined to stay. Yet, with the king holding the purse strings and tightening control over royal finances, the situation is becoming untenable. Without royal funding or public support, maintaining a massive property like that could become impossible for Andrew. And if Charles cuts him off completely, it's only a matter of time before he's forced to move out. For the king, this is not just about real estate, it's about reputation. Charles has seen firsthand how one family member's personal decisions can spiral into a PR disaster. The monarchy barely recovered from Megxit, the Oprah interview, and Harry's spare. The king simply cannot afford another narrative that paints the royals as divided, secretive, or out of touch. He's already facing challenges from a shrinking Commonwealth to public criticism about royal spending. Allowing Andrew and Sarah to live in royal luxury while taxpayers tighten their belts? That's a headline Charles cannot risk. So, in many ways, this latest move isn't personal, it's strategic. Still, not everyone in the palace agrees. Some royal aides reportedly feel sympathy for Sarah, saying she's been caught in the crossfire of Andrew's missteps. Others believe she knew the risks and chose to tie her fortunes too closely to his. But one thing's for sure, her standing with the royal family has changed dramatically. In the past few years, she's been slowly inching her way back into the fold, attending royal events, supporting causes, even joining the family at Balmoral. It looked like she was finally regaining a measure of royal respect. Now that fragile progress has crumbled. Meanwhile, behind palace doors, the king's relationship with Andrew remains complicated. Despite his anger, Charles is still said to care deeply for his brother. He's not vindictive, just weary. And interestingly, reports from The Sun suggest that Andrew has promised his brother something major. He will not write a tell-all book. According to palace insiders, Andrew has explicitly promised the king he won't follow in Harry's footsteps. That's a significant assurance, especially in an era when royal family secrets can turn into million-dollar publishing deals overnight. If true, that promise might be the only thing keeping a thin thread of trust between the brothers. But there's skepticism too. Some royal watchers point out that Andrew has little left to lose, and that if his finances worsen, he could be tempted by the lure of a lucrative memoir deal. Others think Fergie could still be the wild card. After all, she's a natural storyteller with publishing experience and a candid personality. And given her recent frustration and feelings of betrayal, could she be tempted to share her side of the royal story? For King Charles, that's the question that looms largest. Because if there's one thing the modern royal family fears most, it's losing control of the narrative. When Harry and Meghan told their story, the palace's traditional never complain, never explain approach crumbled. The monarchy learned how quickly public opinion can shift when people hear directly from those on the inside. If Fergie were to write a book or speak publicly about her treatment, the repercussions could be massive, not just for Andrew, but for Charles' carefully curated royal image. And the irony? All of this comes as the king tries to modernise the monarchy, streamline operations, and restore its dignity. So here we are, Prince Andrew, once the Queen's favourite son, cornered and humbled, Sarah Ferguson, stripped of her title and her security, fighting to stay relevant, and King Charles, caught between duty, family and reputation, trying to prevent another royal implosion. The stakes couldn't be higher, because in today's media age, one wrong move or one tell-all could undo years of quiet damage control. It's almost poetic in a tragic way. King Charles ascended the throne, vowing to protect the integrity of the crown. But to do so, he's had to turn the screws on his own family, his brother, his sister-in-law, and by extension, the entire Windsor dynamic. And yet, beneath all the protocol and the PR strategy, you can still sense something deeply human. A weary king trying to keep his family from destroying itself. The question now is, how far will Charles go to contain the damage? And will Andrew and Sarah finally accept their royal exile, or fight to the very end? Only time will tell.